The phantom convoy truckers spend countless hours on lonely highways, but some roads hold secrets best left undiscovered. What if you saw something that shouldn't be there? Something that defied all logic? This is one trucker's chilling story of a night that still haunts him to this day. I've been a trucker for over a decade, and in that time, I've seen my fair share of strange things. But nothing compares to what happened to me one cold night in 2018. I was driving from Boise, Idaho to Denver, Colorado, hauling construction equipment. The road was quiet, and I didn't mind. I liked the solitude. That night, there was supposed to be a meteor shower, so I was actually looking forward to driving under the open sky. The trip started off normal. I had my coffee, my radio playing softly, and the road stretching endlessly in front of me. Then, around midnight, I saw headlights in my rearview mirror. Another truck, closing in fast. Within minutes, 3 massive semis passed me, all identical. Same model, same logo, and strangely spotless, like they had just rolled off the assembly line. I thought it was odd, but I shrugged it off. Probably a fleet trying to meet a deadline. An hour later, I saw them again, parked on the side of the road with their hazard lights blinking in perfect unison. But there were no drivers, no one checking their tires, no one outside at all. Just 3 running trucks, completely empty. A chill ran down my spine, but I told myself not to overthink it and kept driving. Another hour passed, and the temperature dropped sharply. The road was empty, the only light coming from my truck and the stars above. Then, I saw them again. The same 3 trucks, parked in a perfect line at a small turnout off the highway. I slowed down, my heart pounding. Were they the same trucks? Or another set that looked exactly like them? It didn't make sense. Then, as I passed, one of the trucks turned its lights off and pulled onto the road behind me. I gripped the wheel, my palms sweating. The truck followed me closely, its headlights blinding in my mirrors. I pressed the gas, trying to put distance between us, but it kept pace easily. Nervous, I grabbed my CB radio and called for help. "Anyone out there? I think I've got a tail, and I don't know what their deal is." For a moment, only static. Then a voice crackled through. "Where are you?" "Highway 287, about 30 miles from the state line," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. A long pause. Then the voice came back. "You need to get off that road. Now." "What do you mean?" I asked. "Just trust me. Find the nearest exit and leave. Now." Then, silence. I barely had time to process what was happening when I looked ahead and saw them. The other 2 trucks from the convoy. They were parked across the highway, blocking both lanes. I slammed on the brakes, tires screeching against the pavement. My truck skidded but stopped just in time. Now, I was trapped. The truck behind me turned off its headlights, plunging everything into darkness. I fumbled for my phone, my hands shaking as I dialed 911. Just as the dispatcher answered, the trucks ahead started moving. They turned onto a narrow dirt road, disappearing into the trees. The truck behind me followed, its lights flickering once before vanishing. I sat there, breathless, trying to make sense of what had just happened. By the time the state trooper arrived, there was no sign of the trucks or the dirt road they had turned onto. The officer told me it was probably just fatigue playing tricks on me, but I know what I saw. To this day, I can't explain it. The identical trucks, the synchronized movements, the way they seem to appear and disappear at will. Every time I drive that stretch of highway, I check my mirrors. And every time, I pray I don't see those headlights again. A trucker's most terrifying night on the road. Truckers spend countless nights alone on dark highways, but some nights are different. Some roads don't want you there. One night, I was driving through the middle of nowhere when I realized I wasn't alone. And by the time I understood what was really happening, it was almost too late. It was past midnight, and I was hauling freight through a remote stretch of highway in West Texas. No towns, no gas stations, just miles of empty road. I had driven this route before, but that night felt different. The air was thick, heavy with something I couldn't name. My radio crackled with static, my GPS flickered, and for the first time in years, I felt uneasy behind the wheel. Then, in the distance, I saw something. A figure standing in the middle of the road. I hit the brakes, my headlights cutting through the darkness. At first, I thought it was a hitchhiker, but as I got closer, my stomach dropped. It was a woman. Her clothes were torn and dirty, her hair tangled. She stood perfectly still, staring straight ahead. I slowed down, rolling my window down just enough to call out. "Ma'am, you okay?" She didn't move. I felt a cold chill crawl up my spine. Something was wrong. Then, her head snapped toward me. Not turned, snapped, too fast, too unnatural. And then she grinned. I slammed on the gas. I sped past her, my heart pounding. My headlights barely caught her as I passed. But in that split second, I saw her eyes. They were all black. I gripped the wheel tighter, trying to shake off the fear. Maybe I was seeing things. Maybe it was just exhaustion playing tricks on me. Then, in my side mirror, I saw movement. She was running, keeping up with my truck, at 60 miles per hour. Her bare feet barely touched the pavement as she glided alongside me, and her smile, wider than before. That was when she spoke. Not out loud, not on my radio, but inside my head. "Let me in." I nearly lost control of the truck. I pressed harder on the gas, pushing the rig to its limit. The speedometer hit 85, then 90. She just laughed. Then she was gone. I didn't stop. Not for miles. Not until I saw the faint glow of a gas station on the horizon. I pulled in, parked under the brightest lights, and sat there breathing hard. The cashier inside waved at me, concern on his face. I climbed out of the truck, still shaking. "You okay, man?" he asked. I hesitated, then nodded. I saw something out there." His face went pale. "She found you, didn't she?" he whispered. I stared at him. "Who?" He swallowed hard. "The woman on the highway. She's been out there for years, and when she picks a driver, she doesn't stop until she gets inside." I looked back at my truck. For the first time since stopping, I noticed it. The passenger door was unlocked. I never take that road again, because some nights you don't drive alone, and some passengers you don't survive.